Hello there. Welcome to Interpreting Tradition. This is my chat number 3. It goes under, there are many things, as you hopefully know by now, if this is not the first time that you join us. There are several things going on in this channel. Some readings are in Spanish, others in English. There are readings on the Mass and on mysticism and so on. And I thought that perhaps I would embark upon some chats, um, some conversations with you. So this will go under personal conversations, something like that. This is number 3. To begin with, I want, before I do anything, before I say anything, I just want to refer you back to the previous one, number 2, which I left limping a little bit. I left it hanging there. I was talking about charity and pity, referring to Dostoevsky's short story. And I left it, I got a little bit confused at the very end because the thought crossed my mind while I was talking about charity and pity and so on, that I was almost preaching a sermon there, where I was becoming a little bit preachy, and my mind got a little bit confused, and I just sort of said, okay, well, I ended it there. And I thought about it, and very, very briefly, what I meant to say was that in the person of the aristocrat that Dostoevsky was referring to, I said it was obviously he was showing the hypocrisy, but the hypocrisy was obvious there. What he meant to say, really, what he was telling us was that some people, like the aristocrat in the story, sometimes wants to feel virtuous or feel good about himself or herself. Based on the sanctity of others. In other words, they want to feel as if they have done something good, but they have based that feeling of feeling good about themselves based on the tears and the suffering of others. That is what I think he was referring to. And with the second story, when I told you about the girls who came to visit us and so on, that is not the case, the same case. But I was making the point that sometimes we are unaware when we do a good deed with the best intention of the effect, that we should think or take into consideration the effect and the consequence, the effect that that might have on others. Because when we do a charitable act, I think, which I couldn't explain yesterday very well, but if I can put it a little bit better, when you do a charitable act, it's not enough that you stay up here dispensing gifts and graces to those at the bottom. The charity actually means not you remaining up there, but bringing yourself down to where they are, and from there give what you want to share. But you have to come down yourself. So charity depends very much, the way I understand it, on not only justice but humility as well. Anyway, so that was that. What I want to talk to you about today is I'm going to go back to when I was a student at university, and I was reading politics and philosophy, and it was the very first year, I think, and I was doing that term, one of the subjects I was doing was philosophy, moral philosophy. And I remember reading we were studying Aristotle's Ethics, and I remember reading my essay to my tutor, and I was reading it, and she stopped me and said, that's very good. That's a very good point. You had a good insight there. And I don't remember what specifically it was that I was discussing, but that is what she said. And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And I asked, "Why is it a good insight? What is?" She said, "Well, many students find that passage particularly difficult to deal with, to understand." I don't remember the passage. That's the thing. But I said, I was only 20 or something, and I said, "Why?" I said, I knew this when I was 8, and I didn't find it particularly difficult. I didn't quite see what the difficulty was. And she said, a personal question, "Are you Catholic?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay, go on, go on, go on." So I continued. Nothing happened. At the same time, or about the same week or so, my very best friend, who had been accepted to university at the same time, although she was at a different college, and she was brilliant. She was very, very intelligent in politics, especially. And we were having coffee, and she said to me, "You know, I think I'm going to change my subjects because I'm finding it particularly difficult." And that surprised me because, as I said, she was really very good and very intelligent, more than I was for sure. And I asked her, I said, "Do you find it difficult?" And she said, "Well, not the politics, but the philosophy, this moral philosophy. I don't understand it." And I said, "Moral philosophy, that's my best subject. What is it? Why do you find it difficult?" She said, "Well, I don't understand what they are on about. I mean, what is this about man being imperfect? What is this about we are not perfect? I don't understand it." And I said, "What is there not to understand about man not being perfect? What is the difficulty? I don't understand why you don't understand it." She said, "Well, I don't. I don't know what they're saying." And that threw me back a little bit. And I thought, goodness, again, I told her what I had told my tutor. I said, "I dealt with that. I knew that when I was 8. Actually, it was earlier than that. So I'm going to tell you this story. Um, as you know by now, this is to do with where I was with nuns and so on. We were very little. I think I must have been about 5, actually. And one of the things that the older girls, one was entrusted, and she was changed every so often, but one of the older girls was entrusted with, in the middle of the night, I don't know when it was exactly, she would come and wake some of us up to take us to the bathroom, the ones that wetted the bed. Some of the girls would do it every day. We were very, very little. Some of us would do it, would wet the bed, I don't know, every now and again, whatever. But she got me up and she took me to the bathroom. And I remember this. This is very strange, but it is absolutely true. I was sitting there on the toilet, and I was thinking about the fact that I didn't want to be arrogant because baby Jesus would be very upset if I was proud. And I didn't want to be proud. And this is the problem I had, that this is the connection, that we are all imperfect. None of us is perfect. And we have to be aware of that and admit our imperfections and so on. And my problem was that I couldn't find my imperfection. I couldn't I couldn't figure what is my imperfection, and what I couldn't see it. And that was the problem, that if I didn't see it, that I was being proud and arrogant. And so I was obviously understanding it literally. I knew what an imperfection was. Okay, so some of the girls there in the orphanage, they would some of uh, quite a few of them walked with a limp, for example. One or two were deaf. Um, there was one girl who didn't have, if I can show it, I don't know, she didn't have a hand. uh, she had a thing here, and she would scare us with it. If we upset her in any way, she would come like that, and we would all run away. It was pretty scary. And so I understood what an imperfection was, but I couldn't for the life of me find what my imperfections were. So so there I was, sitting on the toilet with my legs sort of dancing about, and then I found it. I saw in uh, one of my toes on the right hand, the right foot, that one of my toes was not straight. It was sort of a little bent. And I thought, oh, that is my imperfection. I found it. And I went back to, to bed happy as a lark. And so what thinking about it, what I find was not about the imperfection itself, but I was actually at the age of 5 considering the fact that not admitting that was being arrogant. My point in this chat today is the seeds that are planted at a very, very early age, that at that age we don't understand them, but they're there, and throughout our lives they will grow and develop and bloom, hopefully. Um, and perhaps that is what is missing to a certain extent in our young people today, that perhaps we want them to understand things in later life from the cold, out of the blue, and we haven't prepared them with some seeds at a very early age that we don't understand when we're so young, but we will later on. I remember, for example, that we had to in class, in Spanish language class, we had to learn by heart some of the poetry, the poems of certain writers, and I still remember them today, as a matter of fact. One of them, not the only one, but one of them was the poem by St. John of the Cross about the shepherd and the shepherdess and so on. Well, you don't know what it means, you know. They, they would, the sister would say, and who is the shepherd? We don't know what. Jesus. And who is the shepherdess? Don't know. Is the soul, and so on. So, but we couldn't understand it. But you know, today I remember the I can still recite them and so on. So anyway, so I thought about certain seeds that were planted on me at such an early age. One of them somehow was this arrogance thing that I got, I don't know how, through osmosis or something. Another one was, I'm just going to tell you about two more. Another one was about my guardian angel. I remember the guardian angel who always looks after us and guides us and protects us and so on. And again, I'm talking about the age of 5 or so, which I understood the guardian angel is invisible and is spirit. Spirit, I didn't quite understand. Spirit is a big word, isn't it? Spirit, I didn't understand that. But invisible, I understood. Invisible is something that you cannot see. Fine. So I understood that. So again, literally, I understood that my guardian angel was here right next to me. I just couldn't see it. But I would speak to my guardian angel. I said, "Hello, guardian angel." I have conversations with him. And if uh, if if his job was to look after me, sometimes if I stumble and didn't fall, I would say, "Oh, thank you, guardian angel." And and if I stumbled and fell and scraped my knees, then I would get mad at my guardian angel. I would say, "So, who wasn't looking then? Someone wasn't paying attention, right?" Uh, um, well, I'll forget it next time, I would say, but next time I'll tell God I knew, that kind of thing. So when I went to bed, I would leave some room for my guardian angel, who I knew was there. I just couldn't see him, so I would sort of move over and say, "Do you have enough room, guardian angel?" One day I fell off the bed because I was leaving him so much room, and that didn't last very long, the guardian angel thing. But one thing that I do remember is the at the age of 7, preparing for the first communion. I don't know whether you have memories about that, but preparing us for confession, for the first confession. And now looking back, I think that they did a really good job of explaining it. Um, this is how they explained it to me. Confession. Okay, so all right, so you have to think about your sins, all the things that you did wrong, that you know that they're wrong. Okay, and you tell them to the priest. All right, and it was explained to me very clearly. It is not the priest who forgives you. The priest is a man, and he's there representing the church. God forgives you through the church, and he is there representing the church. You could lie to the priest, and he's not going to know that because he is a man. Oh, but Jesus sees inside your heart. He sees absolutely everything, and you cannot lie to Jesus because he sees absolutely everything. And you have to feel really, really sorry. And he's going to know if you're really, really sorry or if you're just pretending. And if you're pretending, you're actually hurting him more. So you have to be really, really sorry. All right? All right. He said, now you're going to think about your sins. This was the way it was explained to me. Imagine that you do something wrong. For example, pulling your sister's hair. That is not a good thing, is it? No. All right. You do not go and confess that you pulled your sister's hair. First of all, you have to do an examination of conscience. Why did you pull your sister's hair? And she said, why? Imagine this situation. Why did you pull your sister's hair? Because she did it to me first. Yes, but that is not the real reason. Look further down. What is the real reason? The real reason. Because she's always doing it to me and she upsets me. And yes, that's right too, but that is not yet the real. You have to find the real reason for it. What is it? And we together came up with the answer, which was because I'm jealous of her, because she's prettier than I am. Ah, so that is the real reason. Envy, jealousy, that is what you confess. In this particular instance, it manifested itself by pulling her hair. But what you confess is that you are jealous and envious and so on. Now, that was how they explained it to me. Oh, then she said, then the nun said, so now think about your sins, okay? And then I'll leave you there for a little while, and I'll come back a little bit later. And she came back and she said, have you thought about all your sins? And I said, yes, I have 7. 7? 7. And I said, yes, I was late for lunch. And said, no, 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 don't tell me your sins. No, you tell them, you tell the priest. And so on. Now, this was very good. Do you agree with me that this was a very good training? Because actually, what they taught me, what the nun told me was, you actually have to scrape all the way back down to find the vice that originates the sin. You have to come all the way down, the examination of conscience. That was, I thought, and I think that's right, actually. So I think that part of today's problems is that not all of us, or with sufficient frequency, do this examination of conscience. That, of course, this is a part of our religious confession in the Catholic Church. But even if you're not Catholic, what you have to do is to look inside yourself, and without any excuses, someone else did it, it was someone else's fault, and so on. Find it within yourself what causes you to be. You have to look at yourself. You have to put a mirror to yourself and be honest enough to accept that you were at fault there. I find that this, even in psychological terms, if more people could be more frank and honest with themselves, perhaps we wouldn't need so many psychiatrists or psychologists if we were more honest. And I find that more and more, I find that people are less and less inclined to find this within themselves. There is always some extra cause, someone else or something like that. Anyway, that's my chat for today. Confession. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.